All right, aloha, friends. Welcome to another episode of Game Time with the Goss. It's Brian Gossett, and today's episode joined with one of my good friends, one of the good coaches, Anthony Criss, retired now, but longtime football coach. Some people call him the Godfather. Um,
I don't know why they get that, but yes.
Thanks for joining me, Coach Chris. We'll first start with this because I know you just love high school football. I've asked a couple people this. I've got to 90%. I've gotten 50%. If you could give me a percentage right now when I ask you, Duncanville will repeat as state champs, what's your percentage?
100.
100? You
100%.
like their team right now this year?
I like their team. As a matter of fact, I don't like their team. I love their team. Love their team, love their staff. Love, Reggie finally has gotten him one. So now why not go get two? But just because he got the main characters are back. Anytime you have your quarterback coming back and one of the top running backs in the country back with that huge offensive line and the best defensive football player in America, you got to like your chances. It's only really two people that really stands in the way, and that's either North Shore or Katy, maybe Westlake, according to how it falls, but that's how it comes to upper Region 2. Shouldn't be that much of a problem. Region 1, the semifinal game, it'll be a good game, but I like their chances. Now there's kids that, they have their swagger. They're well coached. Anytime you get a well coached bunch, they get a chance to go back to back. And I just think, first of all, Todd cannot do them, so he's got to go back to back.
Yeah, and also the number one receiver in 2025 in Texas, and Decorin Moore, who had a lights out game against SOC with 281 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns.
Guys, there's so many number ones. You just can't call all the number ones. The guy. It's just great. So I'm looking forward to. I'm excited about this season. You get to this point. We want football to start. I'm ready for playoffs. So I don't want the playoffs to start because there's so many dynamic stories that's going to happen in high school football through all the levels, through all the classifications. I'm just excited. I'm so glad that it's finally here.
Yeah, and they had played South Oak Cliff in week one, Duncanville, that is, and of course back-to-back state champs in 5A D2. Entering the season, people talked about their defense, only one returning starter, but you think SOC will be just fine and make another deep playoff run, possibly three-peat?
I think I see SOC. I have them three-peating. Melissa stands in the way this time. Melissa has a very good football team. Coach Todd, I have them ready. Here's the thing about it in high school football. You're either going to have hardly no returning starters either 2 years in or 3 years in. That's just the way it's built. And it's not like the NFL. So they do a good job. Coach Todd does a great job of getting them ready. Coach Ward does a great job on defense with their scheme and their meshing their players to their talent. So you got to think SOC now, they've shown you. If you know the story of South Oak Cliff, they got so close all those years. Then they finally broke through. Now they've broken through. They know what it feels like. So there's no game too big. There's no moment too big. There's no venue too big. They've done it in the cold. They've done it in the hot, inside, outside, wind, no wind, hostile environment. So those guys are now state championship built. So they understand Melissa will waste them. They're going to take care of their business, getting through the district. But then it becomes I don't think they get Summit this time, first round. I think I have Summit winning that district. So that matchup can come a little further down the road. They can kind of match them size and speed. But I just think now once you have that championship pedigree, it just gets in there. So SOC has a great chance to three-peat. Because once you start winning them, now you get that taste and that's what you want to do and continue to do. And they're loaded on that other side of the ball this time. It's always been about the defense, but now this offense that the Golden Bears have is very, very good.
Yeah, and I have Summit winning their district as well. Like you said, Melissa in that region, Region 2, Melissa's tough as well, coming off that blowout win against Argyle, which, Argyle doesn't take many two blowout losses in their history, and also Lovejoy. Lovejoy's in that district with Melissa, being up on College Station. What are your thoughts on Lovejoy?
I like Lovejoy, but for me, it's all Melissa. Melissa, what Melissa did to Argyle was impressive. I did not see that coming. And Argyle, I believe, was number 3 in the state. Melissa, number 1.
Yeah.
Lovejoy is going to be a good opponent. They can do. I just don't know. I think Melissa is getting so close that they want to get back there. I can't wait for that Melissa Lovejoy matchup. I think Lovejoy can pose a threat, but I just don't know. Melissa is so strong. Plus, when you're playing in a $35 million complex, I mean, it's hard to go against those guys.
Just being around, Fort Worth ISD for so long, back in the day with Wyatt and, your dad, Willie, and now your brother, Zach at Wyatt. Um, Talking about South Oak Cliff winning back to back and doing it for Dallas ISD. I mean, talk about Fort Worth ISD football and how it's kind of changed for the better in the last couple years. And I mean, how close are we to seeing a Fort Worth ISD team possibly, at least make a deep playoff run in football?
I would think that OD Wyatt has a chance this year because he has 9 returning starters on defense. My brother, that is, at 9 on offense. And when you have a trigger man like Cade Barrett, the quarterback, you have a chance. Arlington Heights, showed last year that the Fort Worth football is starting to come back when they beat Colleyville Heritage, and then they had the first round playoff win. I'm looking for the same things from OD Wyatt this year. As a matter of fact, I say it publicly. I say it all the time. If it's not 3 to 4 rounds deep, I mean, I ain't talking about first or second. I'm talking about 3 to 4. I think it's the best. It's the most returning starters we've had since the 90s. And back when my daddy started building that dynasty we had then, we did with a bunch of sophomores. It was 20 sophomores. We haven't had that kind of talent, returning starting talent that's been on varsity that long. When I say we, I mean OD Wyatt isn't we, because it's my brother and my son over there. I think they have a really, really good chance. Impressive victory last week over Dallas Lincoln. They put up 41 points after losing both starting tackles in the first quarter, which is, that's huge in Fort Worth because the depth is not there. But being able to still come from behind and win that game, got a tough game tonight against Joshua, but it's just really lining up for them to make a run this season in the playoffs. There is no way that, barring, unforeseen things like injuries. And I always tell people, stay eligible and stay healthy. Those are the 2 things in high school football. You got to make sure you get through eligibility, and you got to stay injury free, especially when you're not that deep. But what I like about ODY this year is that they have so much experience. Not only is it 9 returning starters on offense and defense, but there's like 17 kids who've been on varsity since they're sophomores. And then there's like 3 others because Kay's been starting since he was a freshman. So right. Very seldom do you get a 4-year starter in high school at the quarterback position. And he plays at an elite level. And so he takes care of the football. And that's the thing about it. He's not turnover prone. I think in his 4 years, he's only thrown like 12 interceptions. And so, I mean, he's going to be the all-time leading passer in OD Wyatt history. He's that right now. I mean, he's just going to put that number out of sight. And now what they need is a district championship and then a deep playoff run to culminate this great thing of talent.
Talking with Anthony Criss here, again, you've been around Wyatt. You coached at Darlington Sam Houston. A lot of great players. Can you give me a couple that just stand out at the top of your list, the best you've coached?
People always ask me that. That's tough. I hate doing that because from ODY to Bowie High School and then to Sam Houston, there's been a lot. I've been fortunate.
You're going to leave someone out.
I'm going to leave. So I'm going to leave a couple out there. And they all going to watch this, and they all go blow up my Facebook and my X. I stopped saying Twitter and on my social media. Like, Coach, how do you not remember this? And how do you not put it? I'm going like, when you have 3 different programs that you coach, and really being fortunate enough to have someone at least go to the pros at each different stop, it's just hard. So, but I'll just go like Darren Williams, number 1. And when I was at ODY, I played for the Denver Broncos. He was a tremendous talent that we had there. Donald Burrell had the sack record. He had 21 sacks. All-state guy, played in the Funk All-Star game. He played in that. Went on to play at TCU. And then it's had tremendous kids. Had Albert Bemper, who played at Bowie, who played for the Colts, who has a Super Bowl ring. Kenny Webber played for me at Arlington Bowie, went to Iowa, played in the Super Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals. Darian Flowers and Trayvon Mason and Reggie Stubblefield now at Sam Houston. He's playing in the CFL with Montreal. So I've just had so many great players. Back when my dad was coaching kids that I've coached, it's too many to name. Matter of fact, we have arguments all the time when I go advise my brother. We just talk about the ODY kids that we've coached, and it becomes well, I'm not sure. Who's the all best time quarterback? Who's the then I go like Devin Green, his best one I've ever coached, and then I have Sherrod Harris at Bowie, who played at the University of Texas. Brandon Foster, Ryan Paul. I mean, it just goes on and on. So I would have to have a top 100.
Yeah.
Goss, that's how many terrific kids I've coached. I mean, linemen, All-American linemen, All-American wide receivers. Then, I had DeMario Wesley. The 39-76 ODY kids were all football kids. Monty Clopton, Milton Wesley, Michael Franklin, who his son Malik Franklin now is starting corner at ODY. I mean, it's just a lot of kids. That's why I try not to list them, because when I go around and then they looked at me cross-eyed or side-eyed, like, because I can't believe you didn't put me in there. I'm going like, well, I only had 20 minutes. Had he gave me 30 minutes, I could have got everybody listed.
I'll ask you another tough one, but what about like a favorite game you coach, favorite memorable win or anything like that in your coaching career?
Oh my goodness. The one that sticks out a lot is when I was at Bowie High School and we played Copper's Cove. And Copper's Cove was number 10 in the state, but they hadn't lost a regular season game in 3 years. So we come in and Bowie hadn't won a game in like 4 years on the field. And we were like, I never forget this. Harris used to have the point spreads.
Yeah.
We were a 60-point underdog.
Oh my God.
Not 10, not 20, not 30 guys, 60. We were a 60-point underdog. And they had Coach Will Summers, a quarterback. They had a great running back, CD. What's CD's name? I've got CD. I can't believe I forget the kid's name, but his name was CD. And then I don't want to say CD Lamb, but they came up here. They hadn't lost a game in 3 years, ranked in the state, and then we beat them in overtime. Matt Wall, my kicker, said, "Coach, just kick it. Don't try to score. I can kick it. I can make it." I said, "I'm gonna try to score." He said, "Please don't, Coach. Please let me kick it." Stood by me the whole time. Wouldn't let me call a pass play. He said, "Just run it, run it." I said, "What half?" He said, "Don't matter. I'm going to make it." And I was like, so he made the field goal, and we upset a state-ranked Copper's Cove team. That's one of the ones that really sticks with me. Then being able to clinch a playoff game with Sam Houston, beating North Crowley to clinch that, to go to the back to the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. And then ODY, when we were able to beat Arlington Heights in a slugfest to win a district championship, that was special. Those were special times. And then our playoff win against Cedar Hill was huge, to be able to win a game against Cedar Hill, go to the second round before we lost out to the eventual state champion Grapevine. So those are a couple of that stick out for me. Great battles with Coach Wilson and John Tyler when I was at ODY. You go to East Texas, you're not going to win, guys. In East Texas. You're not. But it was 2 or 3 times that I felt like we went down there. I knew we had a good football team, because when we left out from down there, games I thought we should have won, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I'll just put it like that, that we did not win those games. So, but those were big moments for me. I thought there was some great games. Been involved. The playoff games with Arlington Lamar and the great Eddie Peach, those were classics. People still talk about those games to this day that we played in Texas Stadium. So those are just memorable games for me that I really just have a great memory. I think about those games.
That's awesome. Back to the field goal. Was it time? So it was in overtime?
It was in overtime. It was 4th down.
Okay.
And we'd already stopped them. So it was for the win. So if we missed it, we'd have to keep going. And I felt like had we kept going, we probably wasn't going to win, because you know, when you playing a state ranked team, they will go like, oh, okay, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Let's go. And so we was able to kick that field goal on the right hash. I never forget it. And it went straight down the middle. So
I mean,
totally like
what are we talking? Like 20, 30 yards? How far?
it was get the ball on the 25. We only got like 5 yards. So it was like a 37-yard field goal. We didn't
Awesome.
get close. We didn't get the first down. but Matt he was awesome. He was an all district kicker and an all district punter. So it went on to college to kick. So that was a great moment.
That's awesome. I'm also going to bring this up. I know you love talking about it with me, Coach. And
Don't talk about money.
You're not on that list anymore. You don't have to.
I know, and I noticed since I retired, that list went away. What's up with that, Gossip?
It's you. You were the straw. No, but just mentioning, your family with your dad, Willie, and then your brother Zach. You got your sons, your nephews. I know you told me this, but I forgot. But who was the first media outlet to do a story on your family and football? And about what year? Do you remember?
Oh my goodness. Yes, it was. Okay, it all started. It all started with the Star Telegram. And then the Star Telegram, I didn't notice, but all the stories go out on a wire. I didn't notice at the time. And so CBS Sunday Morning picked it up, and then they came and did a story on the Criss family. That's how we started doing all these Chris's, because CBS, Alistair Stewart came down. They spent a week with us. And then so it became this big deal because Antoine, who is now the defensive coordinator, which is my nephew, Zach's oldest son, is back at Wyatt. And so the story was centered kind of around him because it was the year 2000 coming up. So it was 1999. So back then they were doing all this stuff about the year 2000. So Antoine was the athlete of the 2000. So he was a national athlete. He won the deal. And so that's how they came back. And then it was a unique story. They started looking and said, wait a minute, your dad used to be the coach, now it's your brother, and now here's your nephew, son, and grandson. And so from that point, it just taken off. So the Star Telegram, then we was in Vibe magazine and go on and on. So, guys, everybody want to do a story about the Criss. Remember, I told you, we're not doing any. So, guys, those of y'all who see this podcast, Gossett came to me to talk about something else. He turns on the recorder. I'm not knowing he's recording. So we're just talking like, okay, this is Brian Gossett. This is my guy. We're just talking. Hey, Coach, tell me about, Gossett, you know the story. And I go on and on. And I look up, guys, a week later, here's another story. And that's the last one. We swore it off. So Gossett was able to do the sixth and final story of the Chris's. So yeah, but that's how it goes back to actually Star Telegram, and then actually went around to Vibe magazine. We were in US on US, not USA Today, on CBS Sunday Morning with Charles Argood. And it's been just going on. And then Dave Campbell's wanted to do a story, and we said no. We said no, we've done enough. Been on TV.
They never talked about a possible, cover.
Yes, we said no.
No.
We said no.
No.
Because we're to the point where when you do it, you first do the first two, you kind of get excited, but then when you get to 6 or 7,
yeah,
and then so we're in a Black history textbook that's sold that's in school districts all across the country and across the state. So when he goes to Texas, and if you go to the Texas part of the textbook, there's a picture of all of us that were coaching, me, Zach, Dad, the 2 sons, my 2 nephews. We're forever documented in history. We're in a textbook. So, 100 years from now, somebody can go and like, hey, here's this textbook. I mean, somebody can be in Wyoming and you start studying Texas. Yeah. Look at Texas. There are the Chris's. So
that's the top right there. You don't need. That's why you stop, because you're in
right
history. Didn't you tell me Channel 8 WFAA, and they lost their whatever they were using back in the day, like a tape or something. They had to come back.
No, it was CBS that lost it.
Yes.
So CBS Sunday morning, they came down. Great. I told you they stayed all week. Got to know Allison Stewart and the producer. You actually got to see. It was neat to see behind the scenes how they really do that story, right? So they said, "Oh, Coach, it was a great story. I mean, our editors, everybody just loved it up here in New York." And I was like, "Okay." He said, "But we lost all the cans." He said it was 16 cans of material. I said, "Oh, well, that was a good experience." I said, "That's fine." I said, "Oh, too bad I didn't get to run." They said, no, you don't understand." I said, "Understand, we're not going to run." They said, "Well, no, we want to come back and do it again." I said, "What?" So it's like shooting a movie. They said,
Yeah.
"We want you guys to use the same lines." Huh? So the only reason I allowed it is because every team that they had video, every football team that they had video during a game had never lost a game. And sure enough, they came down. We played Cedar Hill. We beat Cedar Hill. So we had kept the record, right? Unblemished. I said, "Well, shoot, if y'all come back again, that means we're going to beat Grapevine. Come on back." So they came back. We reshot the whole thing, all the scenes, put on the same clothes.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
crazy. The only thing that was different was the football coverage was different because we played Grapevine
All right.
instead of Cedar Hill. But we ended up losing that game. But it was a great experience because we did it for 2 weeks. And so what it did for our kids, they were used to being on camera.
Yeah.
For the cameras being around, they were in the school. It was a great ordeal. And you know what's funny? We try to find the archive. We can find every episode going all the way back because it's 1999. So I can remember when it happened. It's the Sunday after Thanksgiving in 1999. We can find every episode, but that one in the archives.
Oh, interesting. Some conspiracy theories or something, right?
I guess.
That's awesome. Then I'll get you out on this. You joined our exclusive Pick'em challenge this year. You did a couple guest picks last year. So we appreciate you being on. Just some games, just interested in your take, just looking at some of the games and your picks. Um, what are some of the games that kind of stand out? Look at Texarkana High versus Colleyville Heritage, pair of 1-0 teams. What are your
That's
thoughts
going to be
about?
good
Yeah,
because last year, Colleyville Heritage traveled out to Texarkana last year. So interested to go see what's going to happen tomorrow night when Texas High travel, when they have to make the long trip
yeah,
from East Texas, basically Arkansas, Texas-Arkansas line to come play Colleyville Heritage with Coach Edwards taking over for Colleyville Heritage coming from Harker Heights. That's one that's really caught my eye to kind of see what's going to happen with the departure of Coach Martin, going back down to Manville, seeing how that game was going to turn out. I probably picked this week 5-5, so Professor Diggs can kind of get a lead. Because, I just didn't want to come out and dominate,
right.
the whole season. What fun is it in that? So, but I really, that's the game out of the 10 that we picked that I'm really looking forward to seeing how that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game on paper, but we talked about it. Melissa's just sort of on a different level. I mean, Melissa traveling to China Spring, defending.
Well, somebody asked me the other day, they said, "Coach, how did that game take place?" I said, "Well, you got to think about it now. Melissa has made this huge jump. So when coaches talk about scheduling, when we talk about doing all the scheduling, you do it 2 or 3 years out. And so at the time, you didn't know Melissa was going to be growing like that." I said, and plus China Spring being a state champion, no one wants to play a state champion.
Right.
That's why Duncanville and SOC, they said, "Why is Duncanville playing SOC?" Nobody will play. Like South Lake Carroll, it's hard to get games. So it's hard to get games. So you end up playing great teams versus great teams. Iron sharpens iron. So you get a China Spring program and Melissa, because no one will play them in that area. And so Melissa, China Spring, is going to be a good game. Melissa should have too much just by the fact that the way they're growing. I mean, they're really probably right now, if you took the numbers today, they're probably a 6A program, talking about in student body wise.
Yeah.
And the way it's going. So I just think it's going to be interesting. China Spring will fight for a little bit, but Melissa now, they don't have to have two platoon, two-way players. China Spring is going to be full of two-way players. So with the heat early in the season, I think it'll be good for about a quarter and a half. And then Melissa would just, they'll just have too much when it comes to depth and firepower. But China Spring, they will benefit from this because they won't see anything like this after Friday.
Right. And then the one just interesting, kind of staying in Fort Worth ISD, but had Arlington Heights and Frisco Panther Creek Heights with Curtis James, their DC, now their head coach, got his first win last week against Joshua, and then Panther Creek beat, I believe, Independence. Just what's your take on Heights and Panther Creek?
Well, I think Heights coming back off a good year with high expectations. Panther Creek, just like Frisco Emerson, has every kid returning. So you have 22 returning starters. And so with every kid back, Panther Creek now is getting more into they're building this momentum. Heights is a momentum game for them. Heights were trying to repeat what they did last year by starting off 3-0, 2-0, want to do it again, but now they take the trip up to Frisco, to Kirkendall Stadium on Friday night. I think that Panther Creek will give more resistance this year because everybody is back. And when everybody's back, you don't have to replace anybody. Nothing was different. So I look forward to, actually, I will be in attendance of that game on tomorrow night, looking at that firsthand. So somewhere in the future, I'll tweet you. I'm sorry, I'll X you.
Still getting used to that one.
And give you some updates. But I just really think it's going to be a battle. Arlington Heights, I saw them play last week. It's not your Arlington Heights that we're used to. They're throwing the ball. Coach James has his sons there. He's doing a great job. The defense looks good. But now they're not just run. With Furch, it was all run.
Right.
And so now with the quarterback and the receivers, they're spreading, they're throwing it. They're way more balanced than they had been, because before you can kind of say, if you just load up and stop the run on Heights and force them to throw, that's what you wanted to do. Well, now you can't force them to throw because they're a balanced attack. And so I think Coach James recognized that and said, we probably need to be a little more balanced because we got to throw it more. And I think what he's doing is preparing for the postseason. I think he's getting his passing game together. So when they get into the postseason, he's been there and saying, okay, we're going to have to throw it. Because, when you sit on that sideline, especially a defensive guy, you're saying, okay, what could the offense done more to help us out defensively? And I believe that what he's going to do is say, okay, we need to throw it more. So when that time comes, if they stop our running game, because they're going to hang their hat on the run now. It's Arlington Heights on that big offensive line they have. But I think what he's doing is saying, hey, it's going to come a time that we need to throw the football. And we can't wait till week 12 till we decide to do it. So I think he started out in his scrimmages, in his preseason games, these non-district games, throwing the football. So some very interesting matchups that we have coming up on this slate this weekend.
Yeah, and you just wonder if they had a little more passing last year, they probably could have won that second round game last season. All right, and then just want to give a shout out because you did go 9-1 last year, tied for first with Diggs. Only loss was very close, Longview and McKinney. So can't really fault you on that. That was a good game. You actually picked Sunnyvale, which I think you were one of 4 out of 18 that picked Sunnyvale. So
Well,
doing.
being an insider, that's why I'm backing off this week, guys. And I'm backing off this week because, if I end up going, 19-1, everybody's gonna throw in the towel with 8 weeks. With 12 weeks. 13 weeks to go. That's no fun. I kind of want to back up this week and kind of catch up.
If you go 9-1 this week and next week, I think we'll all get together, the other 17, and start talking. What's going on here?
Well, what everybody can do, they can just text me, and I can give them some picks and let them, kind of keep it interesting.
There you go. Love it. And then just last one is, have you been doing anything new while you're sort of retired? Have you taken up anything new or doing anything more of?
Oh, I have a lot of stuff that I'm doing. Really, I've taken up. Of course, I got Coach Criss Consulting. You see the shirt.
Yeah, love it.
But then I've also started working with Coaches Outreach. Coaches Outreach is a organization where they do Bible studies for coaches. They come in, they provide all the materials for the coaches, the booklets. They're very well written. And it's a chance for 30 to 45 minutes, one time a week, for coaches to get together and just to kind of do Bible study and try to just get there. They have somebody to come in. We have what we call a lay leader. They come in and they kind of just lead the study so the guys can have a discussion around Bible study. We have things for FCA, but this is for FCA is for the kids, but the Coaches Outreach for the coaches. Big time marriage retreat that they do. So I've taken that up. I say, hey, I can go around and talk about the gospel to coaches. Give me a chance to go see my friends, to see my coaches, talk to Coaches Outreach for about 15 minutes, and then I turn on the tape for about 30 other minutes. And I critique them and say, what are we doing? Why did you run the ball right here? But that's what I got going, guys. The Coaches Outreach has been great organization. I'll be traveling around the Metroplex and the state talking to coaches about Coaches Outreach.
So nothing like golf.
No.
Not a golf guy.
No. When you don't play golf for a long time, and I got 3 sets of clubs, but I was going out the other day and I thought about it. Do I really want my back to be sore? I'm gonna swing too hard. I'm gonna hit balls in the water. Golf balls are $50 for a dozen. Why would I do that? And so just going around looking at high school football, I go over and because my son and my nephew and my brother, the ODY, so I'm always going over there looking from afar, criticizing, critiquing, like, why did you do that? And so that's what I'm doing. Then go a chance to watch my other friends and guys that I help mentor around. And it's just a great time. I just absolutely love it.
That's awesome. So again, week 2 here, Thursday night tonight. You'll be in Joshua for Wyatt and Joshua, and then tomorrow you got Heights and Panther Creek in Frisco, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Where will you be tonight?
Tonight I will be in Birdville watching a longtime rivalry, Richland and Haltom.
Ooh, that's going to be good.
Yeah, always good between those two rivals. And then tomorrow the plan is there's some good games, but just sticking here in Tarrant County, Granbury and Lake Worth. In Lake Worth, a couple 1-0 teams, a couple new coaches. So
watch out for the Pirates.
That's what I've been hearing. Yeah,
they're pretty good.
Yeah,
they're pretty good. So that was one of those games that I kind of let Diggs have.
That's awesome.
That's going to be a good one.
Well, always great to see you and talk to you, Coach Criss, and we'll have to do this again.
Oh, I'll be happy to. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. That's Coach Anthony Criss, and we will be. He'll be here in Joshua for Wyatt and Joshua tonight, and I'll be Richland and Haltom at Birdville. So thanks to Coach Criss. I'm Brian Gossett with Game Time with the Goss. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.